Hello, everyone, and welcome to MUPO and Friends.
We are Jessilyn Persson,
And I'm Michele MUPO.
and we're brought to you by MUPO TV.
And you could catch all of our shows at www.mupoentertainment.com, or you could go to www.mupotv.com.
And you can also live chat with us every Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern on our YouTube channel during the premiere of each episode.
Our chats are live and rocking. I have to say, we've had some pretty cool guests, and one is ready to come on now. So stay tuned, and we will be right back with our special guest.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to MUPO and Friends. Our special guest today is an actor, producer, and father. He produced the Bruce Willis film Breach, going on to act in and produce several films such as Wander, Cheer for Your Life, and most notably the recently released and very timely Karen. Please welcome Roger Dorman. Hi, Roger. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Well, we really appreciate you, and you do look like Kenny Rogers. So when I'm putting it out there that you get that gig, because they're going to be doing a movie based on Kenny Rogers, and I know you're going to. When you sing "Lady," forget about it. But your film role happened over dinner. If you want to tell us about it.
Sure. I was at an investor meeting, and one of the board of directors invited me to dinner on a particular night. We've been working together for a couple of days, and he looked across the table at me. He's like, "Hey, I've got a part in a movie for you." And of course, I just laughed. I'm like, "Yeah, right." And he's like, "No, really, I've got a part for that of a luxury yacht captain." I'm like, "Well, if it's a luxury yacht captain, then I'm definitely in." And I kind of joked with him, like, the only time I've ever acted in my life was, albeit I was the lead in the play, it was when I was in kindergarten, and I was the only boy in the class, so they had to have me as Joseph. So that was my entire resume when I was approached to be in a movie.
So were you always interested in acting?
Yeah, I mean, who isn't, right? To a degree. I mean, there's a little bit of a romance there. There's thoughts of like, how would it be? I love movies, always have. And so naturally there was a curiosity there, but the thought of ever actually doing it never crossed my mind. I grew up in Southern Nevada. I wasn't in LA or anything, and I hadn't really known any actors that had made it into the business. So it was never really something serious on my mind, but certainly I was always curious about it.
Now, how did the project Karen and your involvement come about?
Well, the gentleman I just told you about that originally asked me to be in one of his movies, he introduced me to a wonderful lady by the name of Mary Allo. She's owns a production company called Allo Entertainment, and she and I just hit it off from the beginning as I was preparing for another movie, Wander. And she was like, "Listen, I've got this opportunity for you. Take a look at it." When I first read the script, I thought of you in this role. And I started reading this role, and I'm like, "You thought of me as a racist cop?" So I was a little bit taken back by that, but at the same time, it was curious. And I'm like, we as actors are always looking for challenges, things that aren't us. Otherwise, it's not acting. If I'm being myself, how is that really acting? So I read the script and I thought, this is pretty incredible. And she's like, "Well, we need to get you on tape. I need to talk to the other producers." And she sent a couple headshots of me, and they're looking at me going, "Yeah, he's definitely looks like perfect Hitler-esque Aryan race kind of guy. So he certainly got the look. How's his voice? How does he act?" And they put me on tape, and they loved what they saw, and they went from there.
Well, since Officer Wind is the opposite of you in real life, how did you approach playing the role?
Well, I work with an acting coach out in Hollywood. That's an amazing woman by the name of Susanna Morris. She's the wife of Eric Morris, who has for years has been a icon in Hollywood of the Eric Morris Actors Workshop. And she has performed miracles with me in reality. I mean, she took me, never having acted before in my life, and taught me how to act, taught me how to pull apart a script and understand the emotional obligations that are required. Because when you're reading a script, especially for someone who's never done it before, it can be kind of boring. Like, you have to use your creativity and you have to use your imagination of, what's being said here, what's meant by this, what is really going on here versus what the words are coming across the page versus just memorizing it, right? So once she helped me tear apart the script and understand all of my scenes, she then spent a considerable amount of time with me, tying and mirroring actual emotional obligations to each and every line and scene. And in some cases, it required several different emotions all feeling at once. For instance, if I'm being racist and I'm attacking this gentleman and I'm all over him and I'm showing emotions of anger and agitation and impatience and whatever else, well, she would take situations and actual stories from my life and basically rub them in my face or have me go over them, remember them, go through them, talk about how I was feeling in those moments and basically relive those moments in my life. And quite honestly, it was hell. And I had to go through that process. But then, of course, once I'm in the scene, I'm going through this, building up to that moment. And so I may be coming across as racist and mean when in reality, I'm thinking about some kid trying to attack my little sister, or I'm thinking about some moment that I had with my father, or I'm addressing some issue that had to do with my ex-wife, or whatever. Every scenario is different, but all of them are pulled from my personal life. And that's literally the only way I could even address it, is by taking my own situations in my own life and mirror the same emotions, even though they're relating to something completely different.
Now, Karen is an intense film. What did you do during that downtime to blow off some steam?
Well, I was out there in Atlanta for 16 days in a hotel room for most of the time because it was during COVID. We couldn't go anywhere and we were instructed not to, so that we wouldn't risk catching COVID or being exposed to anything that was out there. So I may have been on set 6 or 7 of those days. The rest of the time I'm sitting in my hotel room. There may be 2 days in between takes, and I'm just on the phone, on Skype with my acting coach, 6-8 hours a day in some instances, poring over lines and emotional obligations for the next scene and fine-tuning it and getting it better and more juicy or more relevant to the situation. And when I wasn't doing that, I was trying to decompress, talk to my kids, play stupid app games on my phone. It's funny, I didn't watch much TV. I was too busy. That was too much of taking away from what I needed to do. So it tended to be that I stayed within myself during that entire time, where I was either focusing on what I needed, what I had coming up in the given day or the coming days, or my really only real release was being able to visit with my kids.
Well, we're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back. And we're back with Roger Dorman.
So Roger, the subject of Karen concerns real life issues. If people take one message away from the film, what should it be?
Well, Karen involves a few critical issues, obviously racism, also the somewhat laughable and also serious issue of a Karen who's just up in your grill, completely anal, thinking that they should basically be the walking police if they could be, take the law in their own hands, you name it. We all have run into somebody like that. And then, of course, police brutality, which fits the role that I played with Officer Mike Wind. And we all know about those things, but what we probably haven't done, and which Karen tends to poke at, is have we really processed our own emotions regarding those? Well, Karen is in your face, almost to the point of almost being too on point, utilizing elements such as slaving away in the kitchen and other things like that that are pretty pointed at a particular race and time in history. Those things really come at people. Other people may not feel that because they weren't raised in that kind of environment or know anything what the significance of it means. But it does mean something to, a segment of our population, a very important segment. So what do they take from it? The best way I can describe it is try to feel about how try to be aware of and conscientious and conscious of how you're feeling while you're watching the movie. It may not be your cup of tea. Watch it anyway. See what it does to you. You may laugh at moments about things. You may be really upset about things, or you may just roll your eyes, disgusted by what's happening in the movie. That's the point. It's meant to poke at and pick at the things that maybe agitate you. The next question is, ask yourself, why do you feel that way? Because if you feel a certain way, there may be something that you haven't uncovered within yourself that then can get you thinking about why you feel the way you do. And furthermore, allows you to then decide what you're going to do about it. And it opens up the conversation to everybody.
Okay. You're also interested in producing. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. I've managed to produce a few movies. The sci-fi thriller of Bruce Willis called Breach. I've also produced the movie Wander with Aaron Eckhart, Tommy Lee Jones. I've been a part of the movie Karen as well. So, I mean, I've either invested in or been a part of in one way or another a few movies already.
Awesome. So you play a much nicer cop in Cheer for Your Life. What led you to landing a gig in Lifetime?
Well, it was towards the end of the big COVID breakdown, or shutdown, I should say. I had movies that were supposed to be filmed back in April and May of that year, and they got pushed back an entire year. So it opened up my schedule. Mary, my friend that I mentioned earlier, she knew a producer that was looking for somebody that was willing to come in and take on that minor supporting actor role. And I needed to get my acting chops going again. I'd been shut down for a year inside, practically 9 months or so. And I was itching to do something. So it just worked out timing wise, where I was able to be a part of that. And they were happy to have me.
And you also learned a lot from actors that you've worked with. Can you tell us a little bit about that? And which one was your favorite one?
Well, the one that stood out the most to me right away was Aaron Eckhart. The way he approached his role, he suffered. He worked his butt off. He played the role of this in a psychotic thriller in the movie Wander, this role of this former FBI agent who thinks he's going crazy. So already you can see the suffering that he would have to go through. Well, I saw him behind the scenes preparing for a scene and what he would do. Talk about being committed. And then on top of it, he was so kind behind the scenes. When there's a lunch break or whatever, he would sit down with the cast and crew. He wasn't above anybody. He would engage anybody. And it was wonderful to be a part of that, where here there is somebody that's a big time actor that was willing to just be amongst the rest of us commoners, so to speak.
That's awesome.
And then being on the movie Karen, even before I showed up to set, Taryn Manning was incredible. Gave me her cell number. We FaceTimed each other, got to know each other, prepared for our scenes together, talked about our emotional obligations and the backstory of this brother and sister who clearly have issues. And we were able to create a bond before I even showed up on set. And then on set, she was just as wonderful. And then on that same movie, Corey Hardrick as well, he helped me through some difficulties I had in going all the way there racially. and being racially charged against his character in the movie. And he helped me what to say, taught me what to say, gave me the courage to go there, because he was coming at me pretty hard with all of his racial slurs. And I didn't want to come back with the N word and so on. And so he said, well, say it this way, say this instead of that. And he was able to really kind of instruct me. And I think when he saw my emotional turmoil that I was going through on set, his heart softened towards me, because we had never talked much prior to meeting on set right before our shoot. So that's how we met, was in front of a camera. And so it was nice off camera for him to see that, you see the human side of me, not Officer Wynn, but Roger Dorman, who was concerned with what was going on there. And I think that created a bond with us, and we've been friends ever since. Keep in touch.
Awesome. We're going to take a commercial break and we'll be right back.
Oh, I know. Aging sucks. You feel wrinkly, ugly, lonely, and grumpy. But what if these were just limiting beliefs you are stuck within your mind? What if there are ways that work to achieve the youthfulness and healthy life you always dreamed of? Welcome to My Anti-Aging Method TV show, a show for driven people who want real results to hack their age and change their life from this day forward. Premiered by MUPO Entertainment every Saturday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
And we're back with Roger Dorman. Now, in The Wanderer, you play yet another cop. This one being used by the government. Can you tell us something about the plot and how the character fits into it?
Sure. First of all, the cop theme is ending. Okay. It's not going to always be that way. It's just coincidental. And each one of these cops was a totally different person. So that's what's interesting. In Wander, I'm a small town cop. I'm just being told what basically a governmental entity, a shadow government, we think it's the CIA, that's what we're told anyway, is coming into our small town and running experiments on illegal aliens getting across the border. So we're a border town in Wander, okay? And anybody that is not a citizen of the United States or that is there illegally, we are tasked with injecting them with these tracking devices. And that's what we're supposed to do. It just gets out of hand. We end up having an issue where things go sour. Some of them are blowing up and killing people. That wasn't our intention or design, but it happens. And Arthur, the character that Aaron Eckhart plays, he is trying to figure all this out, because in the beginning of the movie, his family actually gets hit by a truck. His daughter dies. His wife is basically becomes a quadriplegic and can hardly even talk. And he is feeling like he's lost his mind because he believes he was targeted. He doesn't look like he's targeted. Everyone else is telling him he's not targeted, but everything about him, his intuition is telling him that it has. And so the whole movie's tied around him trying to figure out what really happened there. And in the end, he's able to understand what happened and so on, and get vengeance or get, I don't know if vengeance is the word. He's able to be vindicated in his understanding of what really happened.
Please tell us about the Hollywood premiere for Wander that your family put together for you in Utah.
That was totally by surprise. I didn't even realize what they were doing. It was during the pandemic where Hollywood still wasn't having any premieres for the various movies they were having. And it was actually my former wife and my son and stepkids that threw it for me. It completely caught me off guard. It was the first night that it was coming out on Amazon Prime and iTunes and Apple TV and such. And they just insisted that I come to the house at the given time. And I was kind of just rolling my eyes saying, okay. And then they kept telling me, you need to at least dress up. So I didn't even know. I'm like, well, fine. I'm going to wear jeans still, but I'll go ahead and throw a jacket on. I show up and I'm completely blown away by them. They've got a professional camera crew there taking pictures. They've got someone interviewing me. They put a backdrop up just like it was, walking and a red carpet. and taking all kinds of pictures and stuff. It was a lot of fun. And then we were able to enjoy the premiere of the movie together. So that was pretty cool.
Now, what's the best part of being a parent?
Well, what isn't? My whole life is centered around being with my children and serving them and spending time with them. I live where I live now because I want to make sure that I'm a part of my youngest son's life consistently and continually in his life. I thoroughly enjoy the feeling I get as a parent doing something for my children. I enjoy if I'm going to some beautiful place like Hawaii or wherever, it doesn't mean as much to me unless my kids are there. Now, it'd be different if I have a significant other, but I don't have one in my life, so I don't need to worry about that. So for now, I thoroughly enjoy just experiencing life with my kids and listening to and being exposed to the things they teach me. I mean, kids nowadays are totally different, and not all in a bad way, a lot in a good way. These kids are smart and they're cluey and they're aware. And my kids teach me so much, and I'm so appreciative of their wise souls that have come to me. And it just means a lot to me to be able to spend as much time as I can with my family.
That's awesome. Kids are definitely amazing. You also seem to enjoy working out. Do you have a favorite form of exercise?
Well, I just like being in shape and feeling strong. And so, but I'm not necessarily great at always doing it myself. And so I've set up my workout systems every given week to be assisted and helped by others. So for instance, I'll work with a personal trainer a couple times a week. And then I'll work out at F45, which is a circuit training gym. Mark Wahlberg and his investor group actually own this. And I don't know if they've taken it public or not, but they've certainly made it available for franchises all around the country. And it helps get my heart rate up. It's still free weights. It's also body weight exercises and so on. And it's a good way to have cardio without actually slaving away on a treadmill or something, and still also lift weights. So I enjoy that. And when I need to kind of recover from all of those activities throughout the week, then I'll go work out with my yoga and Pilates instructor that also helps me with fascia rolling and so on, to work on those more stabilizer muscles and stretching and so on. So I tend to keep it quite a variety, just so that I can stay fit without bulking too much. And at the same time, it's all about healthy lifestyle and feeling good.
Excellent. Now, can you tell us about your upcoming films that are in the works?
Well, I'm cast in 4. There's only 2 that I have been authorized to mention at this time. One is a Russian spy thriller called Bird's Eye.
Awesome.
And it ties into some of the history of Vladimir Putin's old program of taking males and females and utilizing them in various capacities in the United States to seduce public figures and such, to learn U.S.'s secrets. And I happen to be a U.S. senator, and I get involved with the lead actress in that scenario. And it's very heartfelt. There's a lot of action adventure. It's just really an intense and heartfelt movie. And then the other movie that I can mention is a movie called Armistice. And this is, I don't know how many of your listeners actually know about this, but a former president of ours, Dwight D. Eisenhower, actually met aliens. And we collaborated, the writers of this movie collaborated with the granddaughter of Dwight D. Eisenhower to talk about those scenarios and those stories that she heard as a little kid from her grandpa about his interaction with aliens. And so it's a combination of a lot of Hollywood creativity and creative license mixed with truthful and historical documented facts, where this movie comes out. And I can't really just talk about the role I'll be in at this point, but that should be a fun one too.
I can't wait for that one. I'm into aliens and stuff like that. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with the conclusion of our interview with Roger Dorman.
We're back. So before we wrap things up, we have one last question. If you were to interview yourself, what question would you ask and what would the answer be?
I would probably ask, what do you want to do with this? And who would you want to work with going forward? And the answer for me is I've always lived my life by honesty and truthfulness and trying to be the best person I can be. So I want to be someone who's inspirational in acting. I want to be someone who people look up to and can appreciate, and who sense his goodness from his acting. Even if it's playing a role that's controversial, they can sense who I am as a person and that I'm all about doing the best job I possibly can. And it's for a narrative, it's for a reason, it's for a purpose, regardless of what emotions come out of you in watching me. And when I think of those type of actors that really bring emotions out of people, I think of a Matthew McConaughey. I think of a Al Pacino. I think of a Robert De Niro. There's so many out there. Matt Damon. Any of those type of actors would be absolutely incredible to learn from, work with, be inspired by, and collaborate with. So that's what I'd say.
Well, I couldn't disagree. That would be awesome. So thank you. It's been a pleasure visiting with you. Look for Roger Dorman in Cheer for Your Life on mylifetime.com or on demand. Wander and Breach on Amazon Prime, and Karen on BET, Her, and Amazon Prime. You can follow, like, and subscribe to Roger on Instagram at Roger Dorman Real, and on his YouTube channel, Roger Dorman.
And as always, thank you for tuning in to MUPO and Friends, courtesy of MUPO TV. And you could watch this show and many others at www.mupoentertainment.com. That's www.mupoentertainment.com.
This is Jessilyn Persson with our host, Michele MUPO. Until next time.
MUPO awesome week.